But let's get into this, man. Let's talk about the 2020 class and our expectations for them. I think doing this is interesting, right? Just going back 3 years, because that's when we make our final adjustment, but our final thoughts and assessments on a guy, right? Like, okay, you're a rookie. Whatever you do, rookie, sophomore year is cool, but I want to see what your third year is like. So now we're at this point to where our 2020 class is going into, their third year. So let's see kind of where these dudes fit. Let's see, what we can project for them, what they can end up being. Like Master William with the graphics, producer of the year. So CeeDee Lamb, right? We've talked about CeeDee Lamb at a very exhausting rate this offseason. I don't think that we were necessarily ready to put this much on CeeDee Lamb right now, but when you move on from Amari Cooper, it's time. It is time. So we know, and to be fair, like CeeDee Lamb has been your leading receiver. Like, let's just be clear here. He's gotten most of your targets and receptions. Let's be clear there. But we have to, differentiate. Okay, well, are you this open because the offense say you open? Are you getting the ball because Dak's getting you the ball? Are you available because Cooper was getting the attention? You know what I mean? So I think it's worth looking into that when we think about projecting for CeeDee Lamb for the future. Now, I think coming out of college or whatever, CeeDee Lamb was a clear, he's going to be a number one guy one day. I don't think there's any moronicals, discrepancies, or anything like that. I don't think there should be any back talk in the idea that CeeDee Lamb is talented enough to be wide receiver one. It's just that at this point in our fandom and his career, we just can't prove it yet. We just can't prove it yet because we haven't seen CeeDee Lamb be a number one guy by himself yet. Cooper is gone, but this is third year. It normally takes guys about 3 years to really, get that thing going. It's going to be up to Kellen Moore. It's going to be up to Dak Prescott. Now, could this be a case to where, okay, Cooper's gone? Does that mean double coverage will roll to CeeDee Lamb's way now? That could be the case. Or could that be, okay, well, they don't have a guy that we deem worth double teaming. Let's just kind of match up with everybody. And CeeDee Lamb would probably still get some of the same one-on-one matchups that he's getting. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it's worth looking at because not only is CeeDee Lamb yak guy, I think that's his baseline, right? I think CeeDee Lamb's floor is high because he's yak guy, because he's get the ball short and get you something extra. But we know CeeDee Lamb does amazing wide receiver things. We've seen some of the catches that he's able to make, some of the ball skills that he has, some of the I was just about to say yak, but shit, yak is a part of his receiving game, which is a part of his ceiling also. So I'm super excited to see what happens with this whole Lamb thing. And this isn't going to be a wide receiver by committee. It's not like CeeDee Lamb with 4 Deontay Thompsons. You know what I mean? Like Michael Gallup is still a good receiver. James Washington is still a good receiver. Jalen Tolbert, we would hope, would be good enough to take some of that pressure off Lamb to where, okay, we're not just going to triple cover CeeDee Lamb. And I don't think anybody would triple cover CeeDee Lamb. He's not Calvin Johnson or anything like that. But I do think that this offense will be balanced enough to where CeeDee Lamb can still, get his off and, still be one of the leading guys in our stat sheets or whatever. And it can be a safety blanket guy for Dak. When we listened to the Jalen Tolbert interview yesterday, it was like, hey man, coach said I need to be able to play everywhere because they may want to move CeeDee Lamb. They may want to, move Gallup or whatever. And in my mind, I don't care whether you play on the outside, whether you play in the slot. If you're the number one dude, that's based on talent, not really where you line up at. So I'm excited for CeeDee Lamb and the growth that he's made. Last year, CeeDee Lamb showed up a little bigger off the offseason peanut butter. If CeeDee Lamb gets even more swollen muscular, it should be fun. Last time we went to camp, shouts out to Oxnard, CeeDee Lamb was just highlight reel. He was doing Dez type things at camp. If we can do those things in the regular season, I have no problems with CeeDee Lamb. And before somebody say, Voch, that was camp, he was smoking Diggs too, and y'all see what Diggs can do. Will Steele, did you have anything on that?
I think people forget Lamb had 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. That's nothing to sneeze at as a second option on the team. He's got all the tools to be the wide receiver one. I already think he is a one, but to be the guy on the team. And now he's going to his third year. And honestly, this is the kind of trajectory you want for a young receiver. Come into the league. He doesn't have all the pressure on him to be wide receiver one right away. He can kind of ease his way in. And by the time he hits his second, third year, he's the guy now, and he's more savvy. He's a veteran. He's a young veteran, and I think he'll handle it perfectly fine. It's not going to be Lamb if he fails. I think it'll be not getting him to rock, the quarterback, the offensive coordinator. Lamb has all the abilities to get the job done.
I think this season is going to dictate how we look at wide receiver moving forward. If we get like a top tier ass season out of Lamb, then I think that's, that would be cause to like pay Lamb. If we just get a regular season out of Lamb, I think next year we'll be drafting wide receiver in the first round, and when it's time to pay Lamb, we might just move on from him. That's what I think might happen. But I could be wrong. Let me look at the chat real quick. Chat got anything? I saw somebody earlier say Lamb. Okay, real cool right here. Jeremy Anello, 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, if you told me that CeeDee Lamb had like 1,200 receiving yards and 200 rushing yards, something like that, that's a fun stat line. That's a fun one. But like 1,700 receiving yards or like total yards, that's a lot of yards. But hey, man, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's get back into this, man. So, Will, it's not a crazy take to feel like Trey Diggs has had more of an impact on the team that Lamb has, right? That ain't crazy. It is.
I wouldn't say crazy. I don't know that I'd agree because I think, that's tough. Because year one, CeeDee Lamb was nice, too. That's the other thing.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? That's actually an interesting question. I never thought to put it that way. No, I wouldn't call it crazy, though.
Yeah, because we knew that going into the season or whatever, the Cowboys had said it, and we don't know how true it is. We can take all these things with a grain of salt or whatever. But, hey man, if CeeDee Lamb wasn't there, we would have just took Trey Diggs, and that sounds like a fun thing to say when you the Cowboys, you got both of them. But it wouldn't be crazy like if Trey Diggs was the 17th overall pick. And he's producing the way that he's producing, you wouldn't be mad. Which is why this draft class is so important to me. You know what I mean? This draft class in particular, especially these four guys that you got on screen, because the rest of them, we'll talk shit about it later. But Trey did like 11 interceptions is hard. Yeah. 11 interceptions is hard, and that ain't even all like coverage ability, bro. That's like I got wide receiver level ball skill. Y'all want to talk about elite? Let's talk about elite. Let's have a conversation about elite, right? Trey Diggs has elite ball skills.
Yes.
That doesn't mean he's an elite corner. He does elite things, right? Anytime you can take away 11 passes, you're elite at something. You may not be the overall corner, like you may not be Revis Island, right? You may not be that. But if they throwing you the ball and you can take it away 11 times, there's something elite about that level of ball skills to where your ball skills are so good that you can miss out on some of the nuanced things like, oh, well, I ain't got to have the best coverage ability, but I know how to bait people to make them look open. And then when they look open, I turn that into a thing. I can take the ball away from you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just have such a respect for Trey Diggs' game. And I think these, we have to come up with a word for them, Will Steele. These dudes that look at a PFF graphic and that's their take on the player or that's their opinion on the player. Bro, I haven't seen 1,000 yards that Trey Diggs gave up. And I would love to just do a video on that, but I don't think I'm patient enough for that video because I've been a cuss at that point. And, Game Pass is a little lazy nowadays. But
it's awful.
Game Pass is terrible nowadays in terms of trying to get some work like that. But bro, Trey Diggs, man, that man hasn't given up 1,100 yards or just 1,000 yards receiving, man. He hasn't done that. That ain't the real thing. If you want to, like, oh, this KZ thing. Oh, well, this KZ deep ball that he missed on. KZ probably was the reason that Diggs gave up 2 deep passes. That's 200 yards there. That's about 200 and some change right there. But just watching that dude and taking away from the idea of he gave this away, because I don't really believe in that. But just coverage ability, baiting guys, the size, like Trey Diggs is a big ass corner. And I think he's like made it easier for these other big ass corners to come to the league and just be taken seriously as like cover dudes, because normally they'll take big corners and be like, oh, you're only going to be cover 3 guy. Oh, you're only going to be this kind of guy. Diggs is a tall, long corner that we can look at and be like, okay, well, you can man up. Well, let's man up. Yeah. And of course, Diggs, kind of, there were times where on film he was a gambler, right? Like he would, give up some big plays to make a big play, which is fine. It wasn't 1,000 yards worth, but he did give up some big plays trying to make a big play. And just with another year of just off-season stuff, of just doing it, of just, just getting the reps in, I can see him not giving up some of those bigger plays. So I don't know if he gets 11 interceptions this year, but it'll probably be less than that because teams will probably stop throwing to him. But I can't even say that though, Will, still, because if Trey Diggs has 7 interceptions on the season, you know what I mean? Like they still tried him and he compiled 4 more interceptions after that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they're just gonna go away from him. I guess that would depend on how good or bad Kelvin Joseph or Anthony Brown is or whatever. But I expect another big year from Diggs. And when it's time to talk money, it's gonna be another weird conversation for Brother Steven and Trey Diggs.